Welcome back to The Fight. I'm Alex Wilcox, and joining us now in studio is Notre Dame Vice President and James E. Rohr Director of Athletics, Jack Swarbrick. Jack, welcome to The Fight. We're so thrilled to have you here.
Great to be here. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. Now, Jack, obviously this has been an unprecedented couple of months for the entire world, and especially for college athletics as well. I want to start just by asking you, what has this been like for you, and what have you learned about your coaches and your student athletes as well?
Well, for me, it's been so unusual because while I've faced a number of sort of major things in my career, there's always been some precedent for it, something you could lean on, some experience in the past or somebody else's experience that could help you. There's none of that here. And so I've learned a lot about something I didn't know and how to be very flexible. Our students and our coaches and the staff have just been remarkable. They've been so resilient, so focused and determined. You know, all the characteristics that make them successful on the field of play or on the court or in the pool, wherever it may be, have really shown themselves here.
Yeah. Now, the big date that everyone is looking forward to, especially Notre Dame fans, is August 29th. It's been on our calendars for a while now. Notre Dame football kicking off the season, week 1, I should say week 0, against Navy, of course, in Dublin, Ireland. I know you've gotten this question tons over the past few weeks, but as we stand today, where do we stand with that game? Is it going to be played? Is it going to be played on that date? And is it going to be played in Dublin?
Well, all great questions, and I certainly understand the interest in this, of course. It was such a great experience when we went last time, and everybody enjoyed it so thoroughly, including our students. But it's really derivative of other things. It starts with what's the plan for the campus in the fall. Really important that we don't address these athletic issues separate from the larger university issues of what's the plan, when will we return to school. So that's the first piece of this. And then the second piece is, what's college athletics doing? I mean, is college football going to start on time? Forget Notre Dame Navy. When we get better information about those two things, then we can answer the specific Ireland question.
Fair enough, fair enough. Now, 2 weeks later, of course, we've got our first home game here at Notre Dame Stadium. SEC game against Arkansas should be very exciting. At this point, we're just going to assume that that game does get played and that the college football season goes on as scheduled. My question, though, is will there be fans in the stands?
Yes. Yeah, we're committed to having fans in the stands. And we'll start with the other students. My view throughout has been, if we think it's safe for students to be on the field playing football, it should be safe for the students to be in the stands watching football.
Right.
So we'll build off that base of the other students. Faculty and staff will be a priority for us to give them an opportunity. And then our fans. We haven't yet gotten to the question of how big that audience is. We won't be at capacity. We'll do something less than that. And we'll be very careful about maintaining social distance, how the facility works, how you enter it, how you exit it, all things to be determined, but we're working hard on them.
Well, that leads into my next question. Are there steps that you're taking within Notre Dame Stadium? You mentioned that it won't be at capacity, but within the stadium, things that you can do, whether that's spreading people out a couple of seats. And besides from the actual in-stadium experience itself, also, how do you do something about tailgating in the parking lots, which is such a huge part of Notre Dame football? Yeah,
what we're focused on right now is gathering all the best practices and ideas we can. Some of the NFL teams are a little further down the road, so we're looking at what they're doing. But all the things you mentioned are part of it. It won't be a normal tailgating environment.
Sure.
We need to create distance in that tailgating and make sure people are safe. I think you'll enter the stadium a little bit differently. I think what we'll ask you to do when you enter will be a little differently. I think the concessions opportunities will be different. And I think in the stadium, we're going to work real hard to create some space among our fans.
This is obviously a situation that no one wants to be in right now. No athletic director, no doctor, no one in the world is happy that we're dealing with this right now. But I'm curious if there's anything that you've dealt with or some best practices that you've come across during this time that you've actually seen as a positive, and maybe some things that you've learned about yourself in the athletic department that you want to see continue going forward.
Well, if learning Zoom is a positive, I can.
We've all gotten very good at Zoom.
We've all gotten great at that. You know, I do think we've learned some really important things about two things I'd put in there. One is sort of just disease prevention generally. I mean, as you think about the issue in the context of COVID, it's all things that are going to benefit us, whether it's MRSA or whatever else it might be down the road. And so I'm really pleased with sort of the permanent changes we're making in things from what the training room is like to what the strength conditioning activities are that'll help promote greater safety. And of course, the other thing is we're learning we can be pretty efficient on a remote basis.
Yeah.
It's still important for us to gather and be part of the community physically, but we can get a lot done remotely.
Jack, I want to ask you a question about Notre Dame's independence when it comes to the football team. Obviously, you and I both know that Notre Dame's independence is something that the university and the football program treasures. Now, you've said in the past that really the only way you thought that that could change is if that affected Notre Dame's ability to compete for national championships, whether that's through the college football playoff and automatic conference tie-ins or what have you. I'm curious, there's been talks of if there's a shortened college football season, if teams only play conference schedules, that would obviously be pretty difficult for Notre Dame since Notre Dame isn't in a conference. So I'm curious, has the coronavirus and has this pandemic changed your views on independence at all?
Not yet. There's a lot to learn and a lot to see, but
Yeah.
I remain confident that, especially with our great partners at the ACC, we'll be able to still maintain a full, and by full I mean the same number of games as other people are
Right.
playing, a full schedule. But you're right. I mean, this is one more piece of data that'll help us think about it. Our clear goal is to remain independent. We think it has great value for the university, and so it's a goal. But the championship format is part of it. Our broadcast partner being committed to our relationship is part of it. And what we'll learn this year all goes into the equation.
Now, Jack, last question from me. We've seen, obviously, March Madness and the spring sports season get canceled. We don't know if there's going to be fans in the stands, although you certainly think that there will be, and hopefully there will be. Athletic departments, though, all across the country are hurting right now, especially budget-wise. So I'm curious, what effect has this had so far on Notre Dame's athletic budget? And then what does that mean for, the actual teams and the coaches and most of all the student athletes?
Yeah, because of when this hit, the impacts in the current year were somewhat limited. We don't produce a lot of revenue out of our spring sports,
Right.
so it didn't have a big consequence. Going forward, however, the consequences can be anywhere from severe to difficult. And what we're focused on is looking at every possible expense and how to take care and how we use the resources that the Notre Dame community helps us earn.
Right.
And so it's things like more regional scheduling, where we're not flying to an opponent, but we're busing to them. It may even be some shortened seasons. We'll look hard at that. We've been really pleased to join in with others in the university on the salary reduction program, where a lot of our employees are reducing their compensation and using that to make a contribution to the university.
Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Always good talking with you. And of course, good luck to you as you've got some very important decisions to make in the near future.
Well, thank you. And to everybody, be safe and be Irish.
Absolutely.